This week, Reno Air Race officials say they are committed to an event in 2012. Lufthansa says its passengers can expect higher fares to pay for carbon credits. And Embraer Super Tucano wins the light air support contract. I'm Ashley Hale. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. Reno Air Racing Association President Mike Houghton said Wednesday that the organization's objective is to have a full air race event in 2012, but that there is still a great deal of work to be done. The announcement answers a question that has been hanging over the event for months, since a tragic and unique accident at the 2011 race killed pilot Jimmy Leeward and 10 others watching the race. During his news conference, Houghton said that the accident, quote, would not be the concluding epilogue of the national championship air races. He said that the organization is committed to working side by side with permitting partners, including the FAA, in addressing concerns and making necessary changes to assure the sustainability of the event. But Houghton warned that there is no guarantee that all the pieces will fall into place. He did say that there would be some kind of air racing event on those dates in Reno, but if the undertaking proves to be unsustainable because of monetary or other considerations, the Air Race Association will present a one-of-a-kind final aviation event on those dates. But Houghton said it will be the last for us. Lufthansa may be setting the tone for how airlines will handle the EU's emissions trading scheme, ETS, by telling passengers it will increase ticket prices to cover the cost of the controversial plan, which went into effect on January 1st. The airline is facing about $169 million in additional operating overhead to comply with the ETS, according to a report from Reuters. In a statement posted on its website, the airline said it will have to pass on the cost via higher ticket prices, as recommended by the European Union. The cost of the carbon credits will be included in the carrier's existing fuel surcharge as of the beginning of 2012. However, it has no immediate plans to increase this surcharge. Some governments have threatened possible trade sanctions against the EU over the carbon tax credits. Embraer thought it had a big win over Hawker Beechcraft just before the new year, as the U.S. Air Force announced that the Super Tucano would be its new light air support aircraft. But because of a legal protest by Hawker Beechcraft, now everything's on hold. Tom Patton has details.
The Air Force had announced last week that the Super Tucano had been selected as its light support aircraft, and it would build the airplane at Jacksonville International Airport in Northeast Florida. Embraer has partnered with Sierra Nevada Corporation to build the airplane. But the $355 million contract for 20 airplanes, pilot training, and support was put on hold Wednesday due to pending litigation brought by Hawker Beechcraft Corporation. The Kansas company alleges the bidding process lacked transparency and did not follow procurement rules. HBC builds the AT-6 Texan, a direct competitor to the Super Tucano. The Jacksonville Business Journal reported Wednesday that the Air Force said in a news release that it has placed a temporary stop work order on the program while the legal process runs its course. Air Force officials said they think the dispute can be quickly resolved. The program would bring about 50 jobs to Jacksonville. This is the second time Embraer has announced plans to build a military aircraft in Jacksonville. The Brazilian company had originally planned to build a reconnaissance airplane for the U.S. Army at Cecil Field, the former Navy Master Jet Base. But that program fell through when the EJ-145, which was to have been the platform for the project, was found to be unable to carry the equipment specified by the Army. For Airborne, I'm Tom Patton.
That sense of urgency that came through in the latest filing by LightSquared with the FCC may be partly because of a deadline imposed by Sprint Nextel Corporation, which had agreed to share network expansion and equipment costs over the next 15 years. In the filing, LightSquared asked the FCC to expedite approval of a plan to build a 4G wireless data network. The new company had formed a partnership with Sprint to speed deployment of the new network. But the deal had a deadline of December 31st, which Sprint extended when approval did not come last year. The offer is now apparently only good until the end of January. LightSquared is pressing the FCC for approval despite interference with millions of already deployed GPS receivers. Last week, we told you what we thought were the worst Aero stories from the past year. This week, Jim Campbell is back with the upside of the coin, the best stories of 2011.
Hi, Ashley, and Happy New Year to you. Okay, folks, we talked last week about what went wrong in 2011, and frankly, I am so happy to put the doldrums of the past behind us and look forward to 2012 with some hope. And there were things in 2011 that did give us hope. First and foremost, after some pretty tremendous setbacks, after some really heartbreaking moments, Gulfstream did what it said it was going to do. It certified the G650 in 2011. It showed that the best and brightest of the bizjet manufacturing technologies that are heretofore put forth by folks like Gulfstream and a few others are still the best in the world, and that American can do, should do, and will do. The Eclipse returns to production in partnership with Sikorsky. Sikorsky's backing is going to be a pivotal development in this, and it shows that really smart folks can look at great ideas, even great ideas that have stumbled, and give them the new life that they need to have a better future than anybody thought previously. With Mason Holland and the gang that he's put together, I see nothing but good things for Eclipse, and I see it leading a whole new segment of business aviation once the economy recovers. The 787 certification along with the 747-8 certification, great moments for Boeing. Once again, not without trials, not without tribulations, not without real delays. But they did it, and ultimately, that's what counts. SpaceX is combining its COTS 2 and COTS 3 profile missions next month to show the world that they are ready to resupply the ISS, and that the vision of Elon's folks is not only valid, but may in fact eclipse what was done with government industry in the past. It's tough to look at what happened to NASA and not feel pretty negative and pretty burnt about the whole thing. But SpaceX is one of the bright shining lights right now, looking at the future and showing people what can go right, especially when American stick-to-itiveness is involved. SpaceX progress is just a great harbinger for the future. The Stratolaunch announcement, amazing stuff. Paul Allen, Burt Rutan, the band is back together. What's not to like? And once again, it gives the folks dreaming of the stars something to dream about rather than the dashed hopes of a deconstructed NASA that's been killed off in so many ways due to political expediency. The Block Aircraft Registration Request Program, BAR, has been put back in place. It was nothing but class warfare. It was another tool that could have severely damaged business aviation. It had no place in the United States of America. And I'm glad to see that it's been restored, at least for now. We'll see where it goes from here. Jim Inhofe's Pilot's Bill of Rights. Let's face it, everybody knows why it's there and what led to it, but the fact of the matter is the right thing. Good on them. It's not the bill we want. It's not nearly enough, but it's a hell of a start. Pipistrel's Taurus and the Green Flight Challenge shows a way to the future that may be a little bit exotic as yet, but shows some signs of the revolution to come and gives us inspiration for what we might be dreaming about next. And finally, the SAFE Symposium was the best and brightest of a truly valuable part of our community, doing the best that they can, loving a segment of the industry so much that they're willing to be tremendously critical of themselves and do the introspection necessary to give flight instruction a brand new start. The way ahead is very difficult, quite ponderous, and I don't doubt that they've got their most difficult task ahead of them, but I'm glad that they've started. There you go. That's my list. I hope it meets with your approval, but more important, I'd like to hear what you think. But in the meantime, for Aero-News, Aero-TV, and of course, Airborne, I'm Jim Campbell. And one more time, guys, Happy New Year.
Since its inception, Redbird Flight Simulations has been dedicated to developing new training technologies and processes in an ongoing effort to make aviation safer, more affordable, and more accessible.
We're using technology to make this kind of training accessible to all flight schools of all sizes and all budgets, and to democratize flying in general, because we make this kind of training more accessible to people.
For more information about Redbird flight simulations, as well as Redbird's new skyport, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com or www.redbirdskyport.com.
Welcome back. If you have a suggestion for Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or our podcast, just drop us an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Boeing officials said on Wednesday that the Boeing Defense, Space and Security Facility in Wichita will close by the end of 2013. The Wichita facility currently employs more than 2,160 people. Mark Bass, Vice President and General Manager for BDS's Maintenance, Modifications, and Upgrades Division, called the decision difficult. Boeing Wichita is the base for the company's global transport and executive system business and its B-52 and 767 international tanker programs. The facility also provides support for flight mission planning and integrated logistics. Over the past 5 years, contracts in Wichita have matured. Programs have come to a close or are winding down, and Boeing says that the site does not have enough sustainable business on the horizon to create an affordable cost structure to maintain and win new business. Bass said that Boeing will continue to have a significant impact on the Kansas economy and the health of the state's aerospace industry. New details are emerging in the new relationship between Boeing and the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. The Seattle Times reported that under the terms of the new contract, representatives from Boeing and IAM have agreed to participate in a council which will hold monthly meetings. The council will be chaired by Stan Deal, Boeing's VP of Supply Chain Management and Operations for the Commercial Airplane Division, and Tom Robluski, President of IAM District 751. An early goal is to set performance targets for the contract's new bonus plan for employees, but a long-term goal is to build a new, more collaborative relationship after 3 years of sometimes ugly disputes. CubCrafters is showing there is still some life left in the sport plane market, with the announcement of a major expansion of their FAA-certified manufacturing facility, adding 15,000 square feet by leasing a building near the Yakima, Washington airport. The new facility became fully operational in mid-December. It's located less than a mile from CubCrafters' existing headquarters and main manufacturing facility. The newly occupied building houses a weld shop and computer numerically controlled machine shop. CubCrafters General Manager Randy Levold said that the business had been on a steady pathway of growth and that the additional space will improve manufacturing efficiencies and more effectively serve our customers. CubCrafters, of course, always brings an airplane or two to the annual LightSquared Expo in Sebring, Florida. A&M will be there too. The show opens January 19th. In just a moment, what do Harley-Davidson and sport aviation have in common? We'll find out from Rod Rakic from My Transponder. I'm Ashley Hale and you're Airborne on Aero-TV.
Avidyne sets a new standard for simplicity and safety with our all-new panel-mounted avionics stack. The IFD 540 GPS Navcom features our award-winning FMS with an intuitive touchscreen user interface. Plus, it's a slide-in replacement for 530 series navigators, which reduces installation costs. The AMX 240 is our new audio panel with intercom and Bluetooth music interface. And our AXP 340 Mode S transponder with ADS-B out is a slide-in replacement for existing KT76A transponders. Add in our innovative DFC 90 series autopilot with flight envelope protection, and you've got the most capable and easy-to-use avionics stack any pilot could ever need. Now you have a choice in the...
Thanks for joining us. It's time for this week's Barnstorming Commentary. We often look at aviation in something of a vacuum, but Rod Rakic of My Transponder says that the industry has a lot it can learn about marketing from one of America's iconic brands.
Hi, this is Rod Rakic from My Transponder. I'm not at the airport today. I'm actually here in downtown Chicago in front of the Harley-Davidson store. And the reason I'm here is to make the point that community means customers. Harley-Davidson has tripled their revenues since focusing their business around community. All the dealerships have been redesigned to make them a comfortable place, not just to shop, but to come hang out. for their community, and that's really made a bit difference in their business. If you think of the Harley Owners Group, they've got about 365,000 members. That's actually less than the total membership of AOPA. So as we look forward to 2012, that's my challenge. What brand is going to step up and be the lifestyle brand for aviation? I think that's the big idea for 2012. Have a happy and safe new year. Thanks for helping making aviation more social.
Rod Rakic is the creator of MyTransponder.com, a social media site for pilots and aviation enthusiasts. AMR Corporation, the parent company of American Airlines and American Eagle, has been dropped from the New York Stock Exchange after its stock traded at under $1 for 30 consecutive days. According to a report in the Business Courier of Cincinnati, NYSE regulation determined that the company is, quote, no longer suitable for listing. AMR filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in November of last year. The stock closed the year trading at only 52 cents. Command's military version of the KMAX UAV helicopter has made its first deliveries to Marine units in Afghanistan. Paul Plack has more on that story.
Ashley, we're all familiar with the role of drones such as the Predator, but a remaining danger to troops is simple logistics, just getting supplies through hostile territory. Afghanistan's terrain in particular leaves road-going convoys at great risk. Landing zones for large cargo aircraft are hard to come by in many areas. That leaves helicopters, and they're easily targeted from the ground. That's what makes the unmanned version of Cayman's KMAX so significant. It was designed to be a heavy-lift manned helicopter, but in unmanned form, it can carry supplies to troops autonomously. On December 17th, the Marine Corps says the unmanned KMAX successfully transported 3,500 pounds of food and supplies to combat outpost Pain in Afghanistan in a successful test of the technology. The Marines say they'll make a final decision on widespread deployment in about 6 months, at which point the nature of combat could change forever. For Airborne, I'm Paul Plack.
If you're going to Super Bowl 46 in Indianapolis in February, you probably expect a few things in town to be expensive that weekend. But if you're taking your own aircraft, get ready for inflated prices, even for a tie-down. As far out as the Monroe County Airport in Bloomington, Indiana, outdoor tie-down spots will cost $75 per day between February 2nd and the 6th. There will also be a $75 landing fee for planes arriving during that period. And Bloomington is 50 miles outside of Indianapolis. The good news, that puts you outside of the TFR, so if the game turns out to be a snoozer, you can leave early, beat the rush, and be cleared for takeoff before the end of the fourth quarter. And now it's time for our AVW, the Aero Video of the Week.
People were on board at that point.
This week, the small point of view, or POV video camera, serve a lot of functions for law enforcement and others who need to document their actions. They also provide some pretty dramatic video. Our AVW this week is taken from the POV camera mounted to the helmet of a U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer on a helicopter mission to assist a sailboat off the coast of California last March. To find this video, go to YouTube and search for Rescue Swimmer Point of View. The full video runs 1:42 in length. And if you have a suggestion for a future Aero Video of the Week, drop us an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Finally this week, Delta is in the doghouse with a customer in Jacksonville, Florida. First Coast News reports that when Rebecca Stillwell and her husband flew to Oregon over the holidays, Delta charged them $200 for taking their dogs with them. The only problem is they didn't bring their pets. Delta told Ms. Stillwell that her credit card was similar to another passenger's who had taken pets, and it was, quote, close enough, so they charged her card. Stillwell told the television station that Delta has so far refused to refund the charge since she could not prove she didn't take her pets with her to Oregon. Delta said that the matter was, quote, under investigation. Get comprehensive, real-time, 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. And join us again next week for another edition of Airborne here on Aero TV. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching. See you next week.